This meeting in order.
All right, Mayor Brian Lewis, here. Council President Roger Perry, here. Councilor Jeff Hensley, here. Councilor Joe Carson, here. Councilor Dana Mulder. We have a quorum, Mr. Moon. Visitors.
Peggy Bishop, Spring Street, President. Around the local. Peggy around the local, they will say the word.
Thank you. The electric station, or what station? The old part.
Oh.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the February 8th work session.
Minutes from February 8th, all in favor? Any opposed?
Also make a motion to accept the minutes from February 15th, the regular session.
All in favor? Any opposed? Public comment. This will be a time to speak to the city and consult with the mayor on any subject, including what is listed on the agenda, except for public hearings. Time limit is 3 minutes per person.
I have a public comment. I just want to ask you guys a question. You guys are doing your conversations. How would you feel about, because everybody's always got a question about what you're talking about. So,
Which conversation?
like when you guys pick something up on your agenda, and you ask us always to wait till the end till our comments. I was wondering if maybe in there somewhere that you could put, does any of the audience have a comment or?
A lot of it depends on what we're talking about. If it's a public meeting, then there's places in there to make comments.
Okay.
But it's mostly, we give you a spot at the beginning, a spot at the end to make it public.
Right, but I don't always know your agenda.
The problem also with having people joining in a meeting, making meetings, and not that long, about 6 hours long for some cases.
Mhm.
Because it's been that way, some residents out there were pretty now. And not to mention what it was, I didn't see. Anyway.
It's a pretty disorganized too. We are pretty open for the most part, we don't mind open forum for the most part, so. We don't wanna drag on what Roger's saying, over the conversation, if it's quick response. When we respond back, then, a lot of times we'll do it. If it gets prolonged, then it's just time to move on to the next part of the agenda, deal with it in the meeting.
So I guess my question is, do you mind if that happens?
A lot of it depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about something that the public will comment and the public make our decision, then we'll select it.
Okay.
But if it's something that we really have to get down to brass tacks, we don't want a lot of comment.
Thank you.
They're more welcome to be
We put forward.
So the agenda is accessible online and we have to look in. So there is that option to go look ahead of time and come prepared.
Yeah.
With notes.
Oh, okay.
Anybody qualify. I mean, my policy has always been anybody call me, ask it. Whoever comes out here, I want to have the same policy.
Thank you.
City recording.
Okay, a few different things to go over here. So one, we got our legislative appropriation fixed and increased beyond what we originally got, so we can pay for water hauling this fall. They fixed the typos so we can use it for water system expansion in general. And yeah, that's great. They finally fixed it. And this last week, we were finally able to send in a grant application to the state that says they can give us money. So once the grant application is approved, then there will have to be a council meeting where you vote to approve it and the mayor can sign it. We can start asking for money, and hopefully by that time we'll have an engineer secured who can start doing all the things. Still trying to find an engineer interested. So far, the only person that looks like they might be would be Keller and Associates, who did some work for us last summer. They said they don't have a conversation until this summer. We're finding there's a lot of water projects going on right now, and a lot of companies are choosing the ones where they can make a few $1 million worth of profit rather than a few $100,000, which is kind of what we're at. So it's a little difficult for a project this size to be able to make a splash and get somebody's attention, but just gotta keep on trying to find.
Are there any professional organizations of engineers we can have, or could we even go to other engineering schools where there's like upper degree students and the network?
You know, there are probably some associations we could look at. I've been contacting companies directly because that's usually the best way to get it out there. And keep finding new ones and keep hanging up, and they keep go, okay, we'll take a look. And we're still just kind of waiting to hear from most people other than Keller, who said, wait until summer, we'll see if we're real.
It's gonna have an engineer stamp, so.
Yeah.
Once the project's approved, they gotta be certified enough to stamp the project, so it can't be.
So not just.
Can't be biased, yeah.
Maybe it's a professional organization, just one her next.
Brings me to the next part of this, which is not the most fun thing. Over the last couple of years, I've been chipping away at something called the Water Management Conservation Plan. You all have a document that was placed every table for this. This is something that previous administration started working. It's a document that we have to do. Every city in Oregon has to do. And some cities get away with kind of thumbing their nose at the state for decades without any progress, but when the time comes, you need something from the Oregon Water Resources Department. They go, okay, where's your document? And we need to finish this water management conservation plan. I've been chipping away at it over the last couple of years because the previous administration did not do a great job. They did not finish it anywhere near satisfaction of OWRD. And then most recently, they added this massive spreadsheet to it that hadn't been part of the project before. And I looked at it with JD, and he was like, no, that's not, we don't have the ability to do that. And I sent it over to OAW because they develop organizations with water management conservation plans. And as they were looking at how to best fill out the spreadsheet, they noticed something the state has not been flagging for the last couple of years that I'm working on it, is that the plan is now 5 years out of date, which means you have to start completely over. And OAW, you can do it, but it's going to cost $12,000. It's pretty staggering.
I brought this to the council and the lab announcement.
Yeah, it's not great, but OWRD, as they look at approving a water system expansion for the city, they're going, hey, where's the rest of the WMCP? We need the update. And it's possible that we could completely start from scratch, but that's going to take a lot of time and energy. And I think just kind of in the interest of time, it's something that just needs to get done. If it had been done to completion by the city's previous administration, that would have been, ideal. They should have done it correctly at the time, and it was not done anywhere near as correctly as it's supposed to be. I'm really not happy with the state for telling me over the last 2 years this wasn't a problem until today, 7 years ago. Oh yeah, no, you can't do that. The big problem is that we were working on water data from I think 2014 to 2019. But now you have to use the most recent 5 years by the time you turn it in. It's 2024 now, so we need a completely new set of data, 2019 to 2024, to generate an entire water management conservation plan. So, yeah, this is an uncomfortable thing you have to present at the very last meeting here. This regulatory issue kind of killed us, and if it's not dealt with pretty soon, it's going to get in the way of at least bad. Do well to watch.
We've been dealing with water conservation for quite a while, right? And it's kind of our special meetings as far as, raising rates, having issues during the summer, trying to curtail, people's usage. So, I mean, we do have a plan, it's just a matter of getting it written up and paying the bill, right?
Yeah, and we're looking over OWJD and I have been working on what we're doing. And they said that our updates were really, really good. They were very impressed with quality, but the problem is just that last 5 years worth of data completely changes everything. And they said, you're really just gonna have to start over at this point. And they'll do it all for us, but yeah.
So the $1 million question is, do we have money in the budget for it?
Yes, we do have money in the budget for it. There are some things that will have to move around. We had way over budgeted for the tank cleaning and video thing we got. So we do have a lot more money left over in that part of the budget. There are some other things we could shift around as well. So we will be able to do this. The city's definitely going to have another supplemental budget for a couple of reasons before the end of the fiscal year. But I believe we do have money in the budget to take care of it.
And the monies that we've gotten for water, et cetera, can that be used for this if need be?
Unfortunately not. The appropriation is supposed to be for, basically, it's supposed to start after that's all taken care of. So when we put together when an engineer starts looking at it and start figuring out how many water rates do we have, what amount of water are we able to use, where that's going to have to be done first.
Government money, and we drill a new well, and the well is not good. Because right now, the well rate is damaged, doesn't mean that we propose. And so next to it, we've got to drill a new well. Yeah. And what happens is that it doesn't meet their standards. Then we have to take out and do that, or I know if we don't complete the project within a year from June.
Yeah. If we don't complete it by June, we don't get it. So if we don't have to pay it back, we're supposed to have it all used up by that point in time. If we don't have it all used up, then we don't get to keep the rest of it. So it's not a situation where we're gonna have to pay it on the back.
So even if we use quite a bit of money and the project fails. Yeah. That's where it's going. Yeah. So it's not something that we can really live from.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is a low interest loan that we're gonna be paying over time. Some of it's a forgivable loan, but there's some that we're gonna pay back.
Is there a way to, do we have to have the engineer put a stamp before we can fund it home? I know right now we haven't even negotiated anything.
Exactly, I mean, yeah. Ideally, an engineering firm, if part of the RFP is also management of the project, and they would be taking care of all of that logistics once they started. We could just drill a well. I mean, drilling a municipal well isn't new. We're not reinventing the wheel by drilling a municipal well. If we get somebody and the contract is going to go, you're going to drill a municipal well and write into the contract, you're going to do it right, or you're going to get it wrong. It's not like this is a completely new type of water infrastructure we're creating. Municipal well has been in place for the 70s, something like that. So there are a lot of people who know how to drill municipal wells.
Engineering companies.
Yeah.
But we haven't had anybody bid on it.
We haven't had any submitted bids. We do have a budget from the state for how much of it we're allowed to use for engineering. People are still, there are a few different companies out there that are weighing whether or not to jump on the project.
What's the thing with the surveyor?
Yeah, so A surveyor is part of the project. There's going, when an engineer figures out how to get this done, how a well is gonna be built, how to connect to the water system. A surveyor is going to come in and have to do a survey of the actual property, so we can write an actual legal description, get it into a contract with it, and then, that's what the surveyor is there to do.
What is that? At what? Situation.
Okay.
My understanding when you describe the first part, the negotiator figure out X, Y, and Z, so the engineer knows what they're working with. But then I just remember that the engineer is gonna do that, and the surveyor comes in, so how do you get the engineer on something that you have to be part of for how, before we negotiate? Does that make sense? I mean, you would that kind of backwards. You think you're doing the negotiation before you spend all the time engineering. Because if it's the future that we go through, you can just spend a bunch of money on negotiating. Something that's never gonna come to fruition. And we're gonna have to, you know, whatever the height of that may be, but. It's like I'm lost with all of that, and I know that we just got money or whatever, we just kind of paid for it. What comes first in that negotiation of that vertical phase?
Okay, so a lot of this is really dictated by the state. So the idea would be the engineer is going to be the one that takes a look at the whole project and figures out what is it going to take to drill a new well and connect it to the city water system. When an engineer draws up a plan for what it's going to take, the engineer can then negotiate with property owner, right, to actually figure out what that looks like. And the surveyor is part of that discussion once an engineer figures it out. And then the surveyor would probably work with the engineer to get a better idea of everything that goes in there. The surveyor is, the engineer is supposed to be the one that starts first. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's basically three things we need right now. So the two things we needed were a surveyor and engineer, and there's some other things we need on the pipe. But UDEL was the first company to go, oh, yeah, we'd love to fill out an RFP. That was kind of that. The ideally, the engineer would have been the first, some company would go, oh, yeah, we'd love to sit on that project, and that would have been handled. But the first one that got filled was surveyor rather than engineer.
And with that being said too, though, that, you know, the engineering, it should be a high level review before you can consult with the property, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be like, you know, down to the budget number, right? Once he starts his review, he can go in and evaluate, you know, kind of sort of what the overall objective is. And at that point, you could have a conversation with the landowner, right?
The project management piece is part of that. It's not just the engineering, it's just keeping it all together and making sure it gets done. So that stuff would be happening through the project management part of it.
But to Joe's point, we'll have to get in real deep with engineering before we can have the conversation.
I don't think that's gonna be.
I mean, that's my biggest.
Yeah, an engineer should be able to take a look at this pretty quickly.
What's the high level conversation?
No, it's kind of know where the well site is, we kind of know. They'll take a look at what needs to be done, but once that happens, it's not an overly complex process, it's just a matter of somebody willing to do it.
Right.
Once they figure out where the stuff is supposed to go, then they can go, okay, here's what we need for land, here's what we need for an easement, and then the negotiation happens with the property owner, and the surveyor is part of that. Right, drawing up legal description and making sure.
And then start figuring out budgetary numbers and, you know, what's okay, like pipe and, you know, excavator and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's no kind of standard on how much property there has to be around the well, or is that?
There is.
Yeah, like 100 square feet, yes, yeah, that would be something that the engineering team does. Figure out, and answer those questions. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
But what if we just have the money and really well?
I mean, that's one thing I've been thinking of, like, well, if this doesn't really work out nearly as well as we want it to, Like we just can't get an engineer to get them built. One idea would be to just drill a new well, and then, if it's there, we truck in water from the well up the hill rather than all the way to Lebanon. Basically shorten the distance. It's not great, but it would be our own water, so we wouldn't have to pay Lebanon for the water. We'd have to pay for trucking still, but we would be paying as much because it's a shorter route.
But then could we go back and do a government, we would like to have money to do that.
That's probably losing money if we don't complete the project by a year from June, right?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing you could do there is you could go to the legislature in 2025 and go, okay, this did not get completed on time because the staff screwed up putting together the appropriation. Also that's basically the main problem is, we should have gotten a much quicker start on that, if not for what the legislative staff had done. So that gives you an edge to go and say, okay, what we did first off was just drill a well, and we're using that well, and we're transporting that, but the cost of, actually doing the connection is gone up, and we don't have time to do that, so. You basically say, we're not gonna use the rest of the money, obviously, because we don't have time. Grant us new appropriation, you get to restart it, and you get a 2-year process from 2025 to 2027 to get it together.
So when we need, what would we need to be done that we can get on there so that we can start giving them funding, so. On development well. Okay, that's for well. Then that's something that we can get somebody over there and give it a bid so that we've got one part of it. Probably the contract with Jack, we probably next time.
Yeah, I mean, that does restart kind of what we're thinking.
I'm not saying we drilling them, at least we can have an idea of what it would cost us to drill a well driller.
Well, I think we've looked at that in the past. Nugent took a look and said, here's what it would take to rehab it, it's probably not gonna work, here's what it would take to do a new well. So we do have those cost estimates about what it would take. Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, the council would have to make a decision, kind of like, okay, we're gonna go and do the whole thing. Or are we just gonna try and do this? I don't know. It's kind of slicing and dicing it, okay, we're just gonna drill a well.
We want to get it done. We've been after it for a while, we just want to get it done.
Drilling a well and hauling water from that well into our tank. Why would rain give us all that water? Yeah. We'd have to, do you realize the size of the pump you're gonna have to put in in order to fill that tank in an hour? If there's that much water in it.
I didn't say that was a good idea.
So I would have to fill this tank.
You still have to go down.
Yep. For years.
Getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, been out, I think about 8 years. I've been asking ever since year one. I don't know. Anyway, what's next?
And that was a quick 10 minutes.
I know that I'd like to, this big budget that they just put through the government, and they're putting a lot of money towards water. I can't understand why we don't. Realize some of that, yeah, who's gonna get it right, who's gonna be grant writer, whatever those people are called.
Engineer.
That's
what it sounds like.
Yeah, so for the project we're doing right now, the way the state does it right now, we need an engineer. It is possible the council could go, we're gonna try and go for the federal stuff instead. And it's also an option for you right now. The Council of Governments did just hire a grant writer, and their grant writer is going to be somebody who works on behalf of the city, so it'd be a cost share, so we would spend a ton of money on it. They're paying part of their salary, paying part of the hours of whatever will be dedicated, so it'd be a little, it's within reach for us to get somebody who can write a grant for water and research that for us and help us out with it. Yeah, so.
Well, it sounds like we gotta get this away, that you get done before we can do anything going.
Yeah, I mean, well, as soon as we get it. Yeah, that's all. Yep. Water.
I'm not sure what's going on there, we got bad numbers. For water sold amounts, and we did also use 25,000 gallons to flush the system, or to flush the tank when they cleaned it. So that would be a big part of that. Before the meeting, up by West View, St. Louis Ridge, where they all connect. That there was a big cat swimming up there 2 days ago, 6:30 in the morning, a little bit bigger than the homeowners.
I was thinking like trying to build a piece of equipment.
Yeah, around here. So before, they did build 80 acres of logging, a couple years ago, so that probably disturbs some habitat.
We don't want to see over, the over, you're not doing that.
We're gonna go through this here the 28th, and different water system survey results should be in mid-April. From the conference I went to, I did meet, had dinner with a couple engineers, one of them gave me a card and stuff, which I passed on to Alex, I'm not sure if they were actually interested or not.
They're taking a look.
Also, it was discussed, thing called forewarn at the forewarn. It's a free to join, emergency response team thing between cities or organizations. It would be good of us to join that at no cost if we have a natural disaster here. In Portland, Medford, any of those cities have some resources they want to send, there's no cost to us. They come here, they help us out, and then they go back about their business. And it's for bigger cities, basically help each other and help the little guys. We're not, there's no requirement from us. We don't have to pay them back or anything. Right. It's kind of similar to the contract we have with Brownsville, although with Brownsville, we still have to reimburse for something. So I just suggested to Alex that we would going to sign up for that.
Yeah, I can add on to that. The person who was in charge of onboarding and negotiating with new cities was on vacation until the beginning of the week and did set up a contract. And so, beginning of this week, and that's a little too much to add to the end of the day, but we are in contact with them. They sent the documentation. So next meeting, we should be able to find out to that.
There was also a conference, one of the instructors for one of my classes was in Libya with OWRD. And he saw it from the big metropolis of Sodaville. And she informed me that her and a group that had been working down in Climate Falls area, helping truck in water to individual homes. And that they are going to be giving us some money for trucking in, which I was kind of touched on.
So what is the sorry?
Oregon Water Resource Department. Other thing is on the 14th, I met with Sand Ridge Maintenance at Chartersville. And they have started an emergency kit in case of disaster for the community. I was presented with their codes
the gates and keys to locks and gates. Currently they have a little water, toilet paper, lots of emergency food kits, and many other items. And I would like to request the city maybe either purchase some stuff, like first aid kit and some other things, or donate to them $300 that I believe we have in a community fund.
Yeah, so the community relations fund, is kind of for that nice thing to do for people. In the past couple of years, the only thing we spent on is, buying food for people who attend the, budget meeting. So 300 is the whole of it. So it's kind of up to council how they want to use it, if you want to use the whole of it for, this, we could do that when we use part of it. That's up to you.
And here's a few pictures of the product stocks that they're doing. That's what they've got in there so far. And we could help with more shelving and all kinds of the options are. And other pictures inside. That's cool. And that's water treatment or filter from there. And, oh.
I like the very show.
Yeah, but maybe that. Yeah, it would.
How did you come up with the $300 amount? Is there something you were thinking?
They're doing it for the community, and I would like to help and be a part of that with them. Instead of just have access to it, because they're not here during spring break, they're not here during the season. And, you know, depending on the emergency, they may not be able to get here, and I can. So I have access, and I just think to be in a community thing, that we pitch in, and I ask Alex if there was anything available for that, because I knew, you know, 500 would be better, but if 300 is available, it was just a number to throw out.
I didn't know if you had something in mind when you did purchase or whatever.
I have emergency survival kit checklist that it's got what you do, the most important, least important kind of things. And so, you know, going off some of that. I was thinking the first aid kits are important. Food and water, they got that. Maybe something to help with shelters, some ponchos or something to keep people dry. Somewhere down the road, a generator. Something or a way to heat the water. Because for those pre-packaged meals, you want to put warm or hot water in. And then allows physical 15 around the retail needs to do the same. Stuff like that. I don't know if they can talk to anybody but me. Because they call, they're the main guy that goes to the school. They're in custodian, their main guy owns. You got to go in school. Yeah. But he called me, he's like, hey, you got a few minutes, I want to show you something. And so, yeah, I can come down there where you want to meet. And I'm back to the school. And he's like, I'm going to give you a key. We're doing this. Come look at it. Let me know what you think. It's for the community. And so, yeah. So then, a couple days ago, I went down there and went into the office. He's like, yeah, I'm going to take some pictures of the contacts. Present for my city council and see if we can help. And our maintenance guy at campus, he's like, what are you doing? And so he called him and he goes, cool. It's for the community. They were really big on it.
Somebody wanted to hit a mountain house in the top of the area, they're called that, so they would want to, so.
Yeah. Well, we could start somewhere. So, I think it's a great idea.
Agreed. Now, we are the Collins area around here, that's, you know, we get the flood.
They're probably instead, you know, it was a lot of it, but damn, they're ready to do so.
I remember one time from having water. That I'm actually super great.
Yeah. So that's what we're really on. I think it'd be great to help be part of that project.
And I just want to happily make some good connections at your conferences. Thank you, Claire.
Do you want to set a dollar amount for contributing?
I hate to spend everything. You know, I mean, I really appreciate people coming to the budget.
Not spend all of it. But we readjust the budget to the moving budget in a couple months, so we can readjust the budget and that we incorporate some of that. If we have a, we have a movie.
I mean, we could do it now at 200 and then later do more. If that's gonna be an ongoing building project.
Last two, 200. Do we got three?
Somebody have to make a motion.
Well, I think probably we don't go to office. Stick it rich school. First aid program.
And I think that we should make this a photo opportunity,
There you go.
something that we can use to go out and now and maybe get some more help.
And it's like, I have access to it, so anytime any counselor would like to join me or something, I'm happy to do that.
A lot of businesses. Form of my work. Go ahead.
Yard style plan. What about getting a yard style and just do something on the floor? Like it's building, stuff like that. Say, hey, would you mind donating this to?
Yeah, I think personally, I'd have to get with, we can see what their stipulations of the variable is. Get it to KD and find out what they're looking for.
We remember, it's Thursday, so we're voting on that, we're going to get out there and come to. If they can't stay in their house or whatever. Is there a building that has a school offer, like the gymnasium or something like that, so where people can go and get out of.
No, I heard it did for rain.
Only $20.
We got to go to that street, we're gonna get that, it's necessary, get around to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now. Yeah.
Like, we don't really feel like have like a community center. They, no, I know that, but that's like a community plan, like, you know, hey, residents and, you know, say we have an earthquake or something or whatever, if we lived in, you know, hurricane country or something, whatever. Something that would cause people to have to leave their homes and go somewhere like Canadian or whatever, obviously, but just, sure. Just thinking if they have this big Connex full of all this food and stuff, where do people gather to go get it? When you have that point, that's one.
We have to have them over there pretty much.
But it's maybe people have school offers like the gymnasium and they're building their people go and get it.
Just to get that there. Their
You know,
gym's
like-
open, their gym's open, so they're not really good. But I mean,
Emergency plan for the community.
yeah, I'll talk to them more.
You know, we really don't have anywhere for everybody to meet, you know, that a lot of people can do their neighbors.
Mhm.
And if they know there's something over there, then we need to know.
One of the biggest threat, or one of the biggest threats was Sodaville fire, right? You know, the city's already burned a couple times in history, so
Say that too loud.
I'm just saying, I mean, took no picture books, no. Yep, Nick.
Legal counsel are in the fee.
All right, our longtime lawyer is closing and their doors at the end of this month, so we need a new one on tap immediately. So I have talked to a couple different law firms that are interested in working with us. This RFP, we put it out there and they can officially bid on helping us, and ideally we're gonna get a new lawyer next month because we need a lawyer. A lot of lawyers are actually closing down, so we don't actually just list it because their lawyers retiring. I mean, yeah, a lot of, it's kind of the thing that's happening in demographic trends is affecting a lot of people, so a lot of lawyers are baby boomers, retiring right now because it's retiring age. So he's like, great, I've lived my life, my career is over and done, and a lot of the lawyers that are in municipal law are in that demographic that's retiring right now, so we're not the only ones.
Does that require that there's any other recommendations to it?
He does, yeah, he gave us some, and I've talked to, and the people that he talked, he recommended, but didn't have time, also gave us some good recommendations. I think we'll be able to find a pretty good, it's just a matter of issuing this, and then on Monday, we can start making a ton of phone calls, and we should have somebody secured pretty soon. Cool.
So I'm going to do RFP 2024.
The Council of Governments to locate those envelopes in the area for Lynn, Benton, and Buchanan counties. And they wanted to see if Sodaville would make a contribution to their annual Meals on Wheels program. They wanted to request $200 from us. There's an information page in there as well from the COG about it. This would come out of our membership dues because it's more like it's a Council of Governments than a membership fund as opposed to the community relations fund that just have to go. So this was kind of the council looking to spend $200 on Meals on Wheels or not. There's only one person in Sodaville who uses it.
I think that's a higher percentage for just one person. And it's even put in when I was sitting on a top bar, I asked them to the one game, who exactly is using their service from the equipment. So they get general funding and they try to just think it's a bit to have from a small city personally.
Oh, that's a good program. I think it's a worthwhile program.
It's absolutely worthwhile, but I don't know that it's something we should be taking money from our budget.
Again, about years.
I know that they, had the contract negotiations with their staff and they were, get some good raises, so I would imagine that they're having to get everybody else, it's going to the main staff. They're asked one to the best. But
No, I mean, this is just their, a lot of nonprofits. I would say,
Today.
Yeah, a lot of fun nonprofits like this will have like an annual fee, and this is their annual fee from those terms. We don't want to take action, we can just leave it be.
maybe the budget.
We can just table it for now, maybe bring it up next meeting or so and figure out. You can say we're gonna mind set aside for it though, or.
Well, so this comes out of our dues, training and education budget. There's not a whole lot left in it for the rest of the year. The rest of the year is really for finding replacement to go to the next OAMR conference.
Almost save it for that then.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Yep.
So a couple of things in here is that one that every 2 months we like to transfer in money from the checking account to the LGIP account. I like to say this every time just so the public is aware of what we're doing. Is that we added $2 a month to the standard water fee. That $2 isn't just spent willy-nilly, it is kept in reserve until there is a time where we need to use it for expenditure. So this is just our bi-monthly pulling that $2 a month and putting it away so it can't be accidentally spent in months, which doesn't unfortunately have importance. So the other thing is that we get money every month from ODOT for our streets fund, and this transfers the last couple months of streets fund money, so that we can make payments, from our operating account, related to that. So it's just something that needs to be done.
So I move that we adopt resolution 2024 -03 to transfer LVIP funds.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Old business, audit, plan and action.
All right, so the final step with the audit is that we have to submit what is called a plan of action for the city. And they identified a number, there were 5 points where we needed to make adjustments to our actions, and then we need to approve those adjustments. We can, and then here if the council wants to say, can we do something differently? The bottom line is that this has to be turned in by the end of the month, so we fix these things tonight, and then the mayor signs them, and then we send it in, and yeah. So the first one had to do with segregation of duties. This is something that goes in a lot of small cities, audit reports, that it's just kind of reflecting the reality. You don't have a massive finance department with 20 people working for it, so there's not really a whole lot to do. The plan of action recommended was to continue doing what we were doing, even though it's material, and we said we want to keep doing this issue one. Issue 2 was accrued payroll and vacation liabilities. The auditor recommended that the city record payroll expenses and accrued liabilities with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. Their plan of action was, or our plan of action response is that we will be doing that. Unfortunately, the changes that they recommend would result in us having overstated payroll and payroll tax expenses. So I imagine it's probably going to ping pong every year. Next year we go, hey, your payroll taxes are expenses. Okay, we'll change it. And then next year we go, hey, you need to change that again. So we're just going to kind of ping pong this until the end of time, basically. Yeah, you got it. Recording of receivables, they didn't love the. So when I do water bills historically, the way I've done that is that anytime there's leftover amounts, we'll put it on the next person's bill. And the auditor says it's too hard for them to count. So instead of doing them that way every time I do water bills now, every time I successfully do water bills now, a lot of people are going to have additional paperwork we have to generate and send to them, which is going to take a lot more time. I had cut down the amount of time I did on water bills significantly over the last couple of years, but adding new paperwork, rather than putting somebody's remaining balance on their next bill, I have to generate another document that says, here's your remaining balance as well. And a number of people end up getting 2 forms of the mail instead of 1. And it's a headache that adds a lot of time, but it'll help the auditor audit. So
it's gonna be like, if I need $5 over, I'm gonna have to make it down, and we need to spend it on something instead of it?
no, it's for the people. It is for the people who are late. No, for the people who are late. So if somebody paid, they got a $47 bill and they paid $45, next month instead of sending, hey, you owe $49, but this month's bill and the other 2, I have to generate a new sheet that says, here's the last bill, here's how much you paid, here's how much is remaining, here's the new bill amount, here's how much is remaining altogether, and that is an extra amount of time to spend. So.
And how many people know that you say that at first did?
I could use 10 minutes really quick.
I'm just here to.
Is there something we can do to automate that, or something, I don't know, that if someone doesn't pay, then. I know if I don't pay some of my bills, I get an extra fee for not paying the $20.
They're all be put on the same bill and get separate. There's gotta be 2 different papers.
Yeah.
QuickBooks to figure it out where they, where you put it, and just generate a.
The CEO is paying them with QuickBooks thing. Put it in the format. They do their.
But it's a separate form
Yeah.
for underpayment, right? So if you could just kick it out with QuickBooks on, whenever you're inputting it for that bill, it comes up a couple bucks short. Kick it out of QuickBooks and when it becomes the bill next time, that's already there. put it in. That's my thought. I don't know how we're responding. Kind of going back to the bill and then reevaluating it, to do it whenever and putting it at that time and generating a document, if you will, for the next day. Got it.
When you set up a bit of that, well, it's, I don't like to do this stuff.
So, that's a large amount.
QuickBooks has a procedure, so what I do is I generate the bill, and then QuickBooks has another option. QuickBooks has another option, so there's another thing that generates the statement, it's just that the process of going about that, the form has a few steps that you need to use to input the data to get it all correctly. You have to see how far is somebody back in arrears, because there are some people who just don't pay until you turn their water off. Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately, it just adds a lot of steps to the process that just makes it take a lot longer. So the ultimate end result of this is that we're gonna have to spend more time and money putting together what bills that could be spent doing other things if we weren't. So.
That's something you gotta do, right? Because the auditor, somewhere we gotta figure out an easier way to do it, you know, to capture it, but it's gotta be done, right?
Yeah.
And what kind of information has to go on that? When we do a standardized form and you get writing some things and that's it?
There is already a speed in this form. It's just the problem is that calibrating that is, I basically have to, for you know, over 25% of the water bills, I have to do this twice. And I have to know how far back to. The QuickBooks again has a setting in there. There's a feature in QuickBooks that generates this document, but it takes several steps to actually do it. And that ends up just adding to the amount of time. It was a very quick process. When this started out, you remember there were it was long. So like just the way I was able to make it a lot more quick and efficient. But adding this process takes out a lot of time. Yeah. So we got I think we just yeah. The way we had been doing it, where we put somebody's remaining amount on the next bill, they say that's too difficult for them to count. So,
Are we getting your job?
yes.
Can we find out what we get from?
We're talking about the programming we use for the radio read makers with the billing system. Maybe we should look at Brownsville or Sweet Home to see what they're doing, because they're using the same metering system as we are. And maybe they've got a better setup. Because they're bigger and they're gonna be wanting to go faster.
Well, I already started it for this month, to just get a process in place, so we're able to have something we can tinker with and hopefully maybe make it more efficient, but you know, talking to another city, how do you do your water bill generation, because we're not in love with having to do it. That's definitely something we can do.
Basically just to put into place an approval for that. It's not defined yet.
Yeah.
So we do want to try to correct whatever new process there is, so. Yeah. That's kind of like Alex started to action plan going, so last one just moved to adopt it, right?
Yeah, well, we got two more to go over. The next one is preparing financial statements in accordance with GAAP. The auditor does not recommend any changes in the preparation of statements, but the council should be aware of this deficiency and stress the importance of thorough review of the financial statements prior to approval of the audit. So, because they don't actually recommend we do anything.
I have no idea what you just said.
Yeah.
So what is the deficiency?
The deficiency is that, we're not the size of Portland with the finance department to match. So
No, seriously, what are we not doing that we're supposed to be doing?
well, this is another one that comes up with a lot of small cities, and small government agencies. Let's see if I can read this down. Yeah, check it out a little bit, is, let's see. So because we rely on the auditor to draft the financial statements, they're also the ones verifying the financial statements. And, I think they're saying you can't have somebody prepare them and review them. So they also know that's not something that can really be avoided. So they have to put it in here to say that it's there.
It's, yeah, we don't have enough people to do those, so. The kind of security thing.
But then I find out with our, the lady that we come in to do the accounting, we have come in.
Yeah, I mean, we have,
time.
we have to those that, yeah,
Because it's hard to I just think they're trying to cover, if we don't recommend to do this, we might be liable because we get into the way you're doing it. Like Alex saying, those small cities, there's nothing you can do, so you can't really change it, but immediately once you're able to change it, let's go with it, right, you know, it's just.
yeah, I've seen this in other small cities and small agency office. It's just kind of the reality of the situation. So we don't have enough to fund.
We really do a lot of that, so.
Yeah.
But you're right, that we don't have as much stress and hours that we didn't do, you know.
In position now, so.
The last one deals with compliance with operating budget laws, so the, let's see. We expended funds directly from contingency rather than transferring from contingency into new budget line item. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, that was my mistake, so I own that. Didn't have proper budget publications, is what they said. Budget notices went out to the newspapers, budget notices were posted online in good detail for anybody to go. So it kind of sounds like we were hiding that we didn't have the budget posted, but we didn't have it. So lastly, we didn't record 3 separate city funds and separate budget items. That's something that's very easy to correct, and we're going to be able to correct that in the next fiscal year budget. But filling out a slightly different form for a couple of different rules of meeting. So.
And we get back to the way it was.
Yeah.
Pretty flutter and, you know.
Yeah, and those are, we do routine those in different budget programs, so it'll just be back to different budget funds. I think it's fundamentally it's gonna change. Beyond which one we use. Let's see, the auditor recommended staff review regulations to prevent future budget law violations, and I said, well, we're undergoing staff transition, so your staff review budget law and directing the budget, that's as far as we can go. So that is the plan in action that we put together.
Either adopt the elected and active plan as to now. Now follow the new question. Second. All right.
Maybe you guys can think about some of the road going up in the water. We've been putting gravel in it, it doesn't take long for it to contact. Unfortunately,
Certain city roads that was a HOA type situation on that, those subdivisions were put in, sort of break. I think it's not legally responsible.
I think, I think it's kind of like, we cannot, but any government funds on to be fair anymore.
But waterfront, which here, there was
Cool, but it's not everything else, but it's still the way to do it now. Kind of, department of police there, just has to get it want to have paved road. This is Sodaville, and so And it's getting made, and I'm thinking, it's really hard to trade.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I don't see why we could put back into, even if it was something or the jail, you know. Don't have to do anything. A little bit of hole.
So what you're saying is the next month is asphalt that.
Well, we don't, we can see it.
We can get through, we can just get spinning up there.
I thought over my house first.
Or you can ask for your.
I'm getting over all my potholes a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
We can, is it still on?
Just throwing out there.
It's only.
It's all gravel. I'm thinking now to just shoveling the ground. Yes, into the middle.
It's something that we think I've been wanting to do, and something we're going to do, all other kind of got in the way last year, but. At least last I know is we're making progress, unfortunately. Not necessarily, I guess, up there because I didn't know.
Well, we came with the whole truck,
Right.
so they're not running over the pole with full loads,
But,
but they're in the state they are because of all the years and the amount of loads. I mean, the garbage trucks over speed, but they were the weight.
Yeah, they're paid for it anyway, that's a well mapped road. They just put gravel on and put it on that, put gravel on, oil, and then they just, they get right on, flat it out, so it's never been a paid for it.
They all this?
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, wait, just go up there, it's all the same way, it's all the same road.
Hopefully, we'll one day we'll get financially.
One, I mean, I did one rescue as well, down the hill, and when I bought my house, I had 3 different addresses. One was a street, one was a road, and how you spell it.
You cannot change that.
No, I know, but part of it was, well, we can't do anything in your streets because, you know, you cover the private.
Yeah, but it counted out time to it says my street. For the gravel.
Yeah. So we went and got different address on it, we tried to get both houses, one address up there. But each one of the streets named on there, has got a post, got a mailbox on it, they won't change, the post office will not change. It's gotta stay, that they never street all the way to the hill.
Maybe this is something we can
I will-
see what it would take.
I will try next week to go over to Albany and talk to the county road department and see what I can get.
It's sure be nice to have one of those icy. Come up and I see that.
So you're on the new part. I get it.
He's got to be the lower. Yeah.
Not the rough part, yeah. I don't know what you call it, the road disappears.
No direction.
Well, there's no lines or nothing, so you should hope you're not going over to somewhere.
Yeah, the one way down, it's not
Anybody who made a comment about the cooler, would you please let me know what areas of Sodaville you saw, so I can put it on next door?
It's already on next door.
Is it? I don't know.
It's on the president of Sodaville.
The one that was reported to me, it was on the corner of Bridge in St. Louis, and West Hill. We're really going together.
See, the whole one I remember about was, middle edge or something.
I heard one about my house down, okay, that's my house.
Oh, your house is my house, Roger.
You're like 4 rows down. What way, there's a lot of. What did the trees?
Or no.
Alder and Western, right, yeah, it's Alder tree.
Alder?
Alder Western area, which good to the last year.
And he said it's waiting on his house.
Yeah.
You've got footprints.
You
So that's Sodaville Road.
Yeah.
anytime you get a big logging project like that, you're gonna start turning up.
Okay, maybe somebody can answer this question. Why do empty trucks go up on the hill? Now, I have no idea. Why do they go up on the hill and then they come back empty? Is it because they live up there and they're going to have lunch or something? That's what Rich said. That's the only answer you get. they're going along Middle Ridge and they're coming down empty because I watched three of them get it these last week.
Well, but if we bring a lot of traffic out this way, you know.
If they call the company and ask.
And thank you for the answers, and I will be putting it on next door. Because that's where. Okay.
Where I'm going, we're gonna have to deal with wolves too, so that's gonna be fun.
Oh, and you're over in the coast.
East and Orange.
Oh, Eastern, oh.
Okay, so. All right. Public comment? Is any more, I want to give my kind of final statement, farewell address to the lead next one. All right. Mr. Mayor, Council President, Councilors, everybody. Ending my regular final council meeting here with some remarks I prepared, paraphrasing one of my favorite radio shows, Welcome to Mayville. I am thinking about a town which is just a collection of objects and people, no more meaningful than any other. An arrangement of objects and people could be a household, or a town, or a city, or a state, or a country. An entire world, arbitrary lines drawing arbitrary boundaries. But this one we call Sodaville, and making it a better place has been my work for the last 2 years. The council regularly showed me that even though I lived outside of town, I belonged to Sodaville, and this community belonged to me. It is an artificial set of boundaries around an arbitrary collection of objects and people, and I am one of those people. I helped set those boundaries. I started contributing to the definition of this town the moment I stepped foot in it. The community took a chance hiring somebody who had moved across the state. Because of Sodaville, I was able to grow as a leader, get married, and buy my first home. And say that the hinges of Oregon history returned from the city hall in my lunch breaks, and we faced some historic issues with the plumbing. I love Sodaville, and this council always went the extra mile, letting me know that Sodaville loves me back. I'm going to continue investing in Sodaville by helping out my successor. I look forward to the day I can drive through town with my own children and talk about the wonderful community I'm grateful to live here. Sodaville will have good years and bad years as time goes on, but I hope my work here puts the city on a trajectory for prosperity. Thank you to everyone for our hard work. Everything you
Yep.
All right, so we're truly in the and we really do appreciate everything you've done. We've done a stand job, so
Especially all that history that you brought up to code and to present time.
we've been about to.
Yeah.
Remember, third Thursday of every month. We check. Love it. No, I make the motion, we call the hearing.
to adjourn into executive session, because now we have to do performance review and hire a new employee. So the official motion used to be, I move to adjourn into executive session under ORS 192.6602A and 2I.
One 2A and 2I.
No, but a little more here, a little more. Okay. I'll see you later.
Okay, so I know there are a very select few executive sessions I cannot attend. Is this one?